So, good day everyone. My name is Jun Teves from BPED 1F. My topic is all about elements of human trafficking. So, elements of human trafficking. On the basis of the definition given in the Trafficking in Persons Protocol, it is evident that trafficking in persons has three constituent elements. The first one, the act, what is done. The second one, the means, how it is done. The third one, the purpose, why it is done. Element number 1, the act or acts of human trafficking or what is done. Recruits another person for the purpose of exploitation. Second, transports or transfers another person. The last one, harbors or receives another person for the purpose of exploitation. Transporting involves moving a person to another place in order to exploit them. For example, a trafficked person may travel normally and legally with a passport if they crossing a border by bus, car, air, train, or other transportation. In other cases, to prevent exposure, the trafficker may force them to travel illegally and or in dangerous and uncomfortable ways such as in the trunk of the car. Transferring occurs when the trafficked person is transferred from one person to another. Harbors or receives another person for the purpose of exploitation. Harboring or receiving occurs when a human trafficker hides or houses a trafficked person and keeps them under control in order to exploit them. Element number 2, the means of human trafficking or how it is done. Traffickers use a variety of tactics to get a trafficked person to do what they want and to maintain control, including the use of the first one, violence or threats of violence against the person or her friends and family. A trafficker will often use violence or the threats of violence as a control tactic. The second one is coercion. A trafficker may coerce other person through fear, such as the fear or being returned to a war-torn home, being separated from loved ones, or losing immigration status. The last one, abduction. Abduction is the act of leading someone away by force or lies. The trafficked person may be made to fear that they or their loved ones will be sexually assaulted, beaten, or killed, or may be forced to witness the beatings or sexual assaults of others to make sure they comply with the trafficker's demands. The second one is coercion. Example of this is when you threaten someone harm if they do not sign a contract. Abduction is the act or process of illegally taking away a person by using force. An example of abduction is a criminal driving away with a rich person's child tied up in the back seat. Element number 3, the purpose of exploitation or why it is done. The purpose or purposes for which traffickers use the people they traffic may vary, but the ultimate goal of all traffickers is the same. They exploit other human beings for profit, which can be a financial gain or material benefit. Sexual exploitation can take many forms, including these examples. Sex trafficking, taking pictures of a child for pornography use. Forced labor. Poverty is one of the main causes of forced labor, as well as a lack of labor in the agriculture sectors, decent employment opportunities, and discrimination. It is one well concealed and in some countries ingrained after years of exploitation. As a domestic servant may be forced to clean the house, do the laundry, cook meals, maintain the lawns and gardens, and look after the children, elderly relatives, and pets. Most trafficked domestic servants are required to be available at all times and work every day for little or no pay, and they are often verbally, physically, and sexually abused by members of the household. The trafficked person may have no control over their travel or identity documents such as their passport, which may be confiscated by the employer and trafficker. The organ removal is often conducted in clandestine clinics, with little or no attention given to the trafficked person's post-operative care. The organ is then sold on the international black market for large amounts of money. If the trafficked person survives the surgery, they may receive a tiny portion of that money. And that's all. Thank you.
Good day, ma'am. My name is Lanee Perez from BPED 1F, and my topic is all about the criminalization of human trafficking. So, Article 3 of the Trafficking Protocol clarifies that trafficking in person has three constituent elements: 1. An act, what is done; 2. The means, how it is done; and 3. The exploitative purpose, why it is done. Some acts of trafficking involve conduct that can be understood as a form of torture, inhuman, or degrading treatment, which is prohibited under the Convention Against Torture and Other Cruel, Inhuman, or Degrading Treatment or Punishment, CAT Article 5 of the UDHR and Article 7 of the ICCPR.
Good day to our teacher and to my classmates. My name is Ann Pabria, member of Group 11 Reporters. My topic for today is types of human trafficking. But before that, let's discuss the difference between human trafficking and human smuggling. Human smuggling and human trafficking are very much different from each other. Human trafficking is a crime committed against an individual person. It is a long-term exploitation of people traded as commodities for the sole purpose of economic gain. For example, forced labor, marriage, and sexual exploitation. It usually through the use of violence, threat, or coercion. It does not require crossing international borders. Victims can be trafficked in their own country. It is never consented, or if they initially consent, it is meaningless because of the coercion or deceptions of the traffickers. Human smuggling is the facilitation of the illegal movement of people across the international borders for a fee. The person typically requests the smuggler's service and the arrangement ends upon arrival. There are three types of human trafficking. First is sex trade, second is forced labor, and three is domestic servitude. And now, let's discuss the sex trade. Sex trade is a crime when women, men, and children are forcefully involved in commercial sex act. In United States, any minor under the age of 18 engaged in commercial sex act is automatically considered a victim of sex trafficking under the law. Forced labor is the most common element to modern slavery. It is the most extreme form of people exploitations, although many people associate forced labor and slavery through physical violence. In fact, the way to use force to people through work are more insidious and engraved in some culture. In 2012, the International Labor Organization estimated a total of 24.9 million people were victims of forced labor around the world. It listed Asia Pacific as the most number of forced labor victim with total of 11.7 million people. Forced labor happens in the context of poverty, lack of sustainable jobs, education, as well as a weak rule of law, corruption, and economy dependent on cheap labor. Lastly is domestic servitude. It is a form of human trafficking of human being, which is extremely difficult to detect because the work is performed in private residence, seemingly normal practice that is used as cover for exploitation and control of someone, for example, nannies and domestic help. It is seemingly normal practice of live-in help that is used as cover for exploitation and control of someone, usually from another country. It is a form of forced labor, but also warrant its own category of slavery because of the unique context and challenges it presents.
That's all. Thank you for listening.
Good day, everyone, especially to you, Mom. My name is Adel May Rubia, and my topic is about human trafficking, the problem. Human trafficking happens in almost every country around the world. Traffickers represent every social, ethnic, and racial group. Various organizational types exist in trafficking, including large nationwide gangs and criminal organizations, local street and motorcycle gangs, and individuals with no affiliation with any one group or organization traffickers. Organization traffickers are not only men, women are also perpetrators. Increasingly, traffickers are using tactics to lure children and youth into commercial sex acts and compelled labor. The base of the issue is the traffickers' goals of exploiting and enslaving victims and the coercive and also deceptive practices they used to do. Traffickers may exploit for the purpose of commercial sex or forced labor, like recruiting, enticing, harboring, transporting, or maintaining a minor for the purpose of commercial sexual exploitation. Exploiting a minor through prostitution, exploiting a minor through sex tourism, exploiting a minor through bonded labor or death bondage, exploiting a minor by having her or him perform a sexual venues like peep show or strip club. And those are the things that human traffickers do. So that's all.